Now, Ronan.
Oh,
So, Ronan, Coleman, Galway United superfan, is joining us today here on the live mic. And you're very welcome, Ronan.
thanks, Mike. Great to be on the live, Mike. My first time here in Newcastle Road and in the boot room.
The boot room,
Great
yeah.
to be here, and I've seen many of your interviews. I'm looking forward to today. Take it easy on me now, Mike.
I will.
I'm in gentle form today.
I'll be very gentle with
Yes,
you, Ronan.
yes,
Don't worry
yes,
about
yes.
it. It should be easy enough to get a few stories out of you
Yes,
anyway.
plenty of stories, and both of us, you've actually been supporting the club a good bit longer than I have.
That's
But
it.
both of us have been going to DC Park or Turner Park for many years.
I was at the first match back in '76, alright, so it was great when they played at Luntown and stuff. I remember the managers were Trevor Hockey and Amby Fogarty.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
Trevor played for Wales and Amby played for Ireland. Great mate of Brian Clough's was Amby Fogarty.
Yes, yes. Sadly passed away there in the last couple of years.
That's right, yeah. And he was very involved. He was their first manager.
First manager. Did he play? I think he played some of the matches.
He did actually, yeah. No, that was something else because I think he was in his 50s at that stage.
An elderly man at that stage. The great days of League of Ireland
The great
football.
days of League of Ireland.
Players maybe in their well into their 40s.
And it wasn't just Stanley Matthews who could play in his 50s,
Yes.
Maybe that was his role model, that he'd be like
Yes,
Stanley
yes.
Matthews. But I remember him taking off the tracksuit and I thought, this guy's not going to play, and he did. And the worst thing is he was one of the best players.
He was a decent player. Has he played for Ireland?
Oh, he played for Ireland lots of times, yeah.
Was it Sunderland, I think.
Yeah, he was at Sunderland. That's how he knew Cloughie,
So.
I don't know, did he manage in the same style as Clough, but he was certainly effective at the start,
He managed that loan anyway, and he managed he would have been successful in the League of Ireland, yeah. So.
And of course, John Herrick would have been probably
John Herrick,
around that time afterwards.
John still going strong, Galway and goes
I
to
saw him up at the last match, himself and Mark. Mark, of course, was captain.
Yeah,
And
great
well,
football work as well.
fantastic.
And we're talking, if you look at the generations of families who played there, the Herricks, the Horgans now.
The Horgans are fantastic, aren't they?
Two brothers playing the last night against our match against Longford Town.
We were just talking about Kevin. He's a fine goalkeeper.
Kevin, a good goalkeeper. He's lucky with the goal the last
He was.
He
Yeah.
made some great saves
That's right.
this season now against that loans.
And he nearly scored a goal. He was at the end. I was impressed. He reminds me a lot of David Harvey, the former Leeds goalkeeper.
Yes,
Look about him. And he's not old. He's not too old to go across down the road.
I'd say he's definitely maybe in his early 20s now. He's like as goalkeepers go, very young keeper.
Yeah. He strikes me as got great leadership ability.
Yes, yeah.
So he can captain the team very, very easily.
He reminds me possibly like we have a very young goalkeeper, David Ford, who was outstanding.
Oh yes,
And
that's
he's
right.
brilliant, yeah.
That's right.
And sometimes it takes keepers a while to develop. And
It does.
It could be their late 20s.
Exactly. Yeah, they always say they get better around 30, isn't that right?
Yes, yeah.
That's certainly the case with Fordy, because
Ford, yeah.
he got the Irish job there, didn't he, for a while? He was number one for Ireland.
Number one for Ireland. He had been with Galway, 2 spells with Galway United.
And he was
Went-
at Cardiff and West Ham, wasn't he? Yeah, that's
It
right.
took him a while to really establish himself in England. He was part of West Ham. Really didn't make much of an impact.
No.
Millwall, very tough.
Millwall, that's right. Yeah. That's where he did great at Millwall. And he moved on to another club then afterwards, didn't he?
Millwall, yes, he finished off his career.
Cambridge, that's right, Cambridge, yeah.
It's like really, I suppose his career in England would be in his 30s, really,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
early 40s.
And that's a great achievement, isn't it, Ronan, to be honest with you?
Like he's got great adversity there for a young player. He was in the League of Ireland, playing with Galway United, went cross channel. A lot of people might say, "Look, I finished football now."
Yeah.
Came back, went up to Derry City, was outstanding.
That's right, he was at Derry, of course, that's right.
England then, and
Yeah.
had a great career then, and subsequently played for Ireland.
Excellent.
One of the things, and football supporters in Galway would say, is he should have been in the European Championship.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They gave him into the squad.
They brought him back, yeah. And unfortunately, it didn't. Yeah, his time had come.
There seems to be some issue there, but I don't know what Roy Keane and Martin O'Neill had an issue with.
And Roy
David,
wasn't a huge
you know.
fan of Shea Given, because he used to all maintain Ireland goalies were so bad because Given never gave up his place. He wanted to play friendlies all the time,
I really have great respect for Shea, but he probably should have called it a day after 2012.
I think so too. He kind of dragged on a bit too long. And he was reserve goalie for a lot of his career.
Yes.
Remember, he was reserve goalie at Man City for ages.
Yes. Oh, great career for
Oh, yeah.
At the time,
You got to stand back.
Perhaps that was the management's fault.
Trapattoni game. Yeah.
Seems
Oh,
to
far
be,
too conservative, I'm not sure whose team I found harder to look at, Trapattoni's or Staunton.
Oh, I don't know.
I always Staunton.
I felt sorry for Staunton. He was thrown in the deep end there, really. Great service to the Republic of Ireland.
But they had Bobby Robson as his assistant. If Robson was the manager.
Really, it should
Remember Staunton said, I'm the gaffer. And when you have to say that, it means you're not the gaffer.
If you wouldn't bring in anyone to that job now with
No, he had no managerial experience at all.
That really.
Even McCarthy had managerial experience at Royal, yeah. So he was
And
used to it.
Kenny has plenty of experience in the League of Ireland.
Well, Kenny's a great choice. I think he's a brilliant choice. He reminds me when they brought Brian Curry in.
Yes.
Now, the only problem is they didn't give Brian Curry a chance.
No.
'Cause there's a real football man. He knows his stuff, well, yeah.
I'm thinking Ireland, the media do put them under a lot of pressure.
They do.
If Stephen Kenny, let's say, loses 2 games,
Yeah.
he'll be out.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The style, I suppose, perhaps the UK style of journalism.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You win 2 matches, you're the outstanding manager.
Well, you know what? Is it the tall poppy syndrome in Australia?
Yes.
They build you up and they cut you down.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
so
yes.
it's tough. But going on about Galway United, what do you think of the current squad?
Good squad, plenty of talented players.
Yeah.
Plenty of, we'll call them good young developing players. This
Absolutely.
squad profile.
Yeah.
You know,
What do they call it? Program DNA?
They had this, the title Project
Project
DNA was
DNA,
attached to
yeah,
it
yeah.
last year.
That's right.
I think really it's in terms of young players coming through. I was up, for example, yesterday. United had 2 underage games. We had a good win against Longford, and of course we lost to Shamrock Rovers. So a lot of good players.
And what ages were they playing?
They were under 15s against Longford,
Right.
and then 17s against Shamrock
So you're
Rovers.
even up for the underage games and all. I mean, you are the number one Galway United supporter,
No, I wouldn't.
without a doubt.
In fairness, now I would just go to the odd underage match. There'll be a lot of people involved there who make a great commitment to parents.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
bringing children to
And that's
training.
vital, the role of parents bring them to matches. Because it's not like years ago where certainly you could jump on a bike and go yourself.
No,
The way things are in traffic, you can't anymore.
No. And then for the underage as well, the players would have a lot of travelling to do. They could be playing in Dublin, playing Wexford,
They
Fitzharris.
could be all over the
You know,
place.
so it's a lot of
Which
travelling.
brings me to the next question. What would you think of an All-Ireland League?
Our league, I would definitely 100% support our league.
Brilliant.
I would think, to have, let's say, maybe a 12-team Premier Division with 6 or 7 of the big clubs in the Republic.
I'd agree.
The likes of your
Glentoran, yeah, Coleman, those kind of teams, like, yeah.
Certainly, teams like Galway United could be a bit.
It's a lot of travelling, though, isn't it?
This is a lot of travel. Some of the Irish league clubs probably wouldn't be too keen on it.
I hear that,
Their
yeah.
their travel. Let's say I was up for the match there in the year in Dungannon.
All right,
and,
okay.
Like their travel would be.
Yeah.
For now, let's say in theory Dungannon got into the All Ireland League.
Yeah.
They're playing or Coleman.
Can you imagine the travel there?
Travel.
Yeah.
I mean, the League of Ireland clubs
And they are
used to travel.
basically amateurs, most of them. So
Yes,
you know.
yes. No, there's a few big clubs there. Larne have a big setup there.
We're in Linfield and Glentoran. They'll bring and the likes of Shamrock Rovers, Pats, Dundalk, Cork,
yeah,
they'll all be
Cork,
fine. Like. Although Cork are struggling this season,
Cork
aren't
are struggling this
they?
year.
It's a real surprise.
If you look at the League of Ireland, it's very cyclical. Clubs
Yeah.
only generally in a few years,
I agree with you.
and then let's say Cork struggling now. Things
Yeah.
like Bulls were successful a few years ago.
That's right,
You
that's
know,
right.
slipped down, but
Pats when they had all the Galway United fellas, do you remember?
Remember, of course,
They had half a team,
Peter
unfortunately.
Carpenter, Johnny
Yeah.
Glynn,
And again, Ricky
Ronan,
O'Flaherty.
Ricky O'Flaherty.
Yeah, amazing, like we had them.
And then
If we had them
Yes,
at the time.
the
That's
perennial
it.
debate in Galway United
Yeah.
football is always if we kept those players,
Yeah.
what would have happened?
Stevie O'Donnell a few
Yes.
years later, and he's a
Stevie
fantastic
O'Donnell,
player,
yes.
like, you know.
The one thing I would say, we have probably now most of the better players are playing for United,
Which is great, because they're coming to the youth systems, aren't they? All the
Yes,
local clubs.
yes.
What did you think of when Mervue were in the league?
Look, Mervyn United, great football club, a great tradition of producing players, people like Donny Farrer.
That's right. Good players from Mervue.
I would have thought though having 3 clubs
Was enough, yeah. It was too much. It was too much, yeah.
And there's nothing really against either of the clubs involved.
Yeah. The base is too small.
Too
You know,
small.
really. Although they had Johnny Glynn and Mark Herrick as managers.
Yes.
I thought it was lovely.
Yeah, those are great
I went out for
guys.
their first match in the league,
Yes.
and I saw the lads out there. And of course, Declan McDonald is very involved out there.
I had a Mervyn United.
If you're
season
Galway
ticket.
United, he's Mr. Mervue.
Certainly Mr. Mervyn United.
That's right.
I had a Mervyn United season ticket for the one
brilliant.
they were up in Amity or Fairland Park in the time there.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we're successful in producing
Well, they
their
were.
footballers, you
They
know.
did very, very well, you know.
If you look at some of the footballers that come on to play for Galway United, a lot of them have played for Mervyn or Saltest.
And take Saltill, you Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy Malloy.
Timmy Malloy
Timmy
played.
Byrne as well.
That's right, yeah.
And the likes that we mentioned, Colin Horgan.
Colin Horgan, that's right, yeah. They all came from Saltill then. So they're very good at producing players. And maybe that's the best way for it to be too, you know, kind of feeder clubs.
Yes.
At that level, you know.
Yes.
No, they might want to be known as feeder clubs, but you see where my point is. They could as easily go to England otherwise.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean players are always going to move up.
They are, yeah, move up a level. Yeah.
At Galway United, we know ourselves. Let's say a player like Donal Higgins.
Yeah.
You know,
He'll be snapped up
at some
eventually.
stage he'll probably
Yeah.
leave the club.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
keeps
That's right.
progressing in his career.
Exactly.
And then,
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. And the better they do, the more likely they bring in more players. Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Talking about Galway United, what about the sponsorship? Like, it's known to be it's soon to be about 100,000 a year from the Coleman brothers.
It'd be substantial. I know. I to be honest, Mike, I'm not directly involved with the club. I'm involved in certain areas.
Yeah, it's like
So
promoting
I
it.
can't comment on the actual details of the Coleman, but it's certainly substantial.
Yeah,
And the Colemans are involved there roughly since maybe around
Nearly 10 years.
Probably done
Yeah.
over that period.
Okay. And they're going to develop a youth centre, isn't that right?
Yes,
Isn't
the
that
plan is that they will develop with the club this centre at Mountain South.
Yeah. And where's Mountain South?
It's those two. It's just south of Athenry.
South of Athenry, I thought that right, yeah.
They had originally had purchased this site. It's still effectively a farm,
Right.
but they had purchased it to redevelop it.
Okay.
There were financial issues regarding the redevelopment. The club bought it. and now I think an element of that.
That would be great, wouldn't it? It would be fantastic. It really
It's
stretch it.
definitely going to be a long-term project because it's not.
That's The other thing is a lot of the locals would be wondering why don't they put more money into the team? Why can't we buy a few more players?
Look, I've certainly put it on.
Well, if you say they've about 30 players in the squad, and tell us like of the 30 players, how many are pros?
It's definitely a core of them there that are, let's say, full-time.
So they're being paid.
Full-time training, presumably being paid.
But they wouldn't make a lot of money, I'm thinking, playing League of football.
Unless you're really with maybe Shamrock Rovers.
Or Bows or one of those teams, like the big teams.
A lot of them seem to be part-time.
They were always a big team, weren't they? They were always huge.
You see players now, maybe for example, and the age profile of the players are younger now.
Oh yeah. I noticed it. Like this guy looked about 15 who scored for Atlanta. Have you seen him?
Yes.
Like he couldn't have been. He looked like a young Alan Smith to me.
Players over 30 now. Past point. Sport in the league. You generally have maybe 4 or 5. The core of the squad could easily be over 30.
That's right. I remember that well.
Maybe 1 or 2 lads over 30.
1 or 2 max. Like Vinny is over 30.
Shane Duggan.
And Marcus
Marcus on the 30 mark.
I think it was his birthday recently, so
yes.
It's a belated birthday greetings to Mark. And score 4 goals the next match, will you? So
famously got 4 goals. Yes. So
yeah, we could use the goals in it. So let's look back at some of the legends that you've seen playing up there. Did you see Chick playing?
I didn't see Chick playing himself because when I came in, my first game was in 1990. Was actually the game in Ballindereen in 1991.
Oh wow!
In the European Cup.
That's the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great start.
He was part of the panel around that year, but I think he was retired maybe that year.
That's right. That was the end for Chick, alright. Yeah. That's fantastic.
That was a great.
I mean, when you think about it, like Galway United playing the Cup Winners' Cup. It's got to be the Europa League now.
Yes.
Because they've amalgamated the UEFA Cup. I always remember the UEFA Cup was the toughest one to win because you're playing against teams that finish second and third, whereas now they're playing in the Champions League.
Yes.
Because I'm not trying to degrade it, but I mean you got a better competition at that stage. So for Galway United to get to that was fantastic.
And we had played there for 3 years in the UEFA Cup, which is the same as effectively the same as
Europa League, exactly.
The Cup Winners' Cup.
Where they've gone. That's right.
And we were very lucky to play some decent teams from Denmark and also the Netherlands, Groningen as well.
Groningen
and Odense.
I wasn't at those matches, but I read about them, which is great.
I was lucky enough now to get to the one game in Ballindereen, and that was a great experience. Some great players there, like Lars Elstrup, played for Luton Town.
That's right.
Odense. Thomas Helveg.
Helvig, I remember Helvig, yeah, good player.
Inter Milan.
That's it. These were good players today. And what kind of scores were they in those matches?
Alright,
okay, so we mentioned the word Trevor Hockey as a manager of Town, so
all I'd say is a very competitive game, but they ended up winning 7-0.
bit like Brazil versus Ireland.
We lost 3-0 in Ballindereen. Now, there was a huge gulf in class there.
Yeah, but these are pros.
Our players at the time were all part-time amateur players.
That's right.
These are full-time professional players. A lot of them have played international football.
When I think back to the Galway United team I saw in 1976, and there was no pros in that team at all. When you look at it, you had Jimmy Duffy. He was a trainee lawyer. You'd see him going downtown on the bicycle. Chick, you'd meet him in the fish shop, And I think that was lovely. That these are all local lads. These are all local people. You see.
Yes.
So what's the chance? If people are always asking if an all Galway United team, all local, do you think that's possible?
Probably not, because look, everyone likes to have as many possible local players, but you'll always have to have some players in the side. You need to get a player in a certain position.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to bring them in. We've always had brought in, let's say, for example, people like Dennis Bonner back in
Dennis Bonner, Paul McGee,
in Sligo.
Top players have brought the team on. Derek O'Brien, and he's involved in the coaching now.
Yes,
so a big hello to Derek O'Brien, even if he is a Roger Federer fan. He is, he knows I like Nadal, so every time Federer beats him, which isn't that often, I get a text from the lovely Derek. But Derek was a great winger for Galway United.
And people say we need to have an all-local side, and I would always say yes, if you can have maybe 7, 8, 9 players.
I would agree with you. If you had even 5 or 6 of them, would be great. And we're not that far away from that at the moment.
The squad is all based in Galway. One thing that has changed, thankfully, anyways,
is they're based in Galway.
This thing of people maybe being in Dublin or somewhere else, coming down once a fortnight.
That's no good. Training elsewhere.
Years ago.
Yeah, that's good. No, you have to build it as a unit. So there's about 30 players. How many pros do you reckon they have roughly?
What I call pros, I would call them. You're looking at players, I suppose, who train full time.
Right, who train full time.
So there's probably a bunch, maybe 5, 6, 7 of those.
So most of them are amateurs, in fact.
Most of them would be. There are players that are going to college.
Yeah, that's right.
Players
that get paid.
Whatever wage they're on will be very
expenses at best.
Amateur players,
yeah, that's right.
And your players, I know that we spoke about Mark Ludden earlier. I know Mark is in employment, and several other players.
And Mark is a class act. Is Mark one of these guys who got better when he got older?
Well, certainly, we don't just slag off Mark because he's still a young man, but he certainly is a very experienced League of Ireland player.
Yes. I remember his 4-goal blitz last season. Who was that against?
Cove
Ramblers. Yeah.
Against Cove.
That's incredible for a left back. Even Junior never did that,
It's not going because I don't know had Mark scored many goals.
I don't remember seeing many. I saw one or two of them. I seem to be there when he scores, so I should be there all the time. So remember that when you're having a ticket lotto. Yes, I'm always there when Mark Liddon scores.
Yes. And Mark has played in the Premier Division for United as well.
That's right.
And he's a very good player at that level.
Absolutely. So tell us about some of the legends you've seen. Who did you like?
The great player, Jerry Mullen.
Oh, he's a great mate of mine, Jerry Mullen.
Newcastle man.
Very modest.
Very modest. Outstanding central midfielder.
Brilliant player.
Would really score a spectacular goal.
Yes.
We always, we remember the spectacular goals.
Oh yeah.
Great player in the Premier Division for United.
He was a great athlete. I played with him as a kid, and Jerry was a mad Spurs fan. I was a mad Leeds fan.
Yes.
But we put our differences aside to play together.
Yes.
But he was excellent. I always think he was a bit shy.
Yes.
And I think that probably cost him a career in England because at one stage he was muted. He was going to Aston Villa.
Yes.
I think Jerry wasn't keen to move.
Because at the time as well, a lot of players wouldn't have moved.
No, that's true.
If you were, let's say you're playing League of Ireland football and you're working, you're probably financially better off.
That's right, and maybe that's the way he looked at it as well too. Although he had great ability.
He had, and certainly he was great. Great Gaelic footballer.
Oh yeah, and rugby. That's right. Yeah. See, when you're that talented at everything, it's very hard to stick to the one. But he did very, very well.
He was very unlucky not to win. He had left the club, I think, for a season in 1991.
And where did he go?
And I think maybe played football locally.
Really?
I think he only played for Athlone Town outside of Galway.
Yeah, that's right.
He played for Athlone at the end of his career.
So he came back for Galway.
Came back to United, but he was unlucky not to win the cup medal in 91.
Oh, absolutely. That's right.
I'll never forget we came back then in Nina. Park.
They were very popular up there, weren't they? And they were full up and everything. I didn't see them up there in Glenina, but I'm told it was massive atmosphere.
Yeah. They were a great part of the city there.
Was that the season they were runners up?
Third.
Third. Wow, that's incredible.
Second in
right. But getting second in '86 is quite incredible. Like 10 years after their first match, to be second in the league is incredible.
I wasn't at that game, but there was a game that played Shamrock Rovers. Unfortunately, lost 3-1.
Oh yeah,
that was effectively the title.
That's right. I'm reading about that. Did you ever see Michael Nolan play?
Michael would have been before my time. Yeah, because I highly rated.
Oh, he was super.
Michael Nolan.
Well, there's a great article coming on Michael Nolan when we get back with the newsletter,
Great. Because I know, I think I spoke to my friend Frank Costello, a great United supporter. I think he did an interview. You worked with the Tribune.
Lovely.
You did a great interview with Michael.
Yeah, I think I came across it on researcher, right? Like he was some character, but I think you'll enjoy it when it comes out.
I'm looking forward to that, Mike.
So it's going to be out when we have our first program of the season out,
Excellent.
Do you call it Maroon View or what do you call it?
Still call it Maroon View.
That's good.
I'm supporting the club like yourself for years, Mike, and this is the first time I haven't seen a match program at home.
I know, and it's a killer, isn't it? Yeah. Even for the 53.
Yes.
I can see this being made into a film, The Gang of 53. There's no truth in the rumour says they were hurling them in to get 53. They're prime ticket thieves, aren't they? Everybody would want them.
I was looking up to see two of them, like yourself.
Same here, yeah.
Club have a lottery, you apply.
And that's the fairest way to do it, isn't it? And I mean, the season ticket holders do invest in the club. And also, you've got a great stream, which is excellent.
As you said there, Keane O'Connell, great commentator.
Fantastic.
There's O'Connell Senior there in the team.
Well, Vinny Senior, we must say hello to because he is like yourself, true and true Galway United. Pure techie.
Yes, and a great man to provide broadcast home games
and goals and stuff that happens. Yes. And there's a lot of that goes on. You do a lot on Facebook now for Galway United.
We do a lot of the Facebook really social media that is where the club promotes itself.
Gets you out there.
The club website itself, the club social media page. It's great. Now years ago, let's say when I was growing up, you could just maybe on it. If the United were playing on Sunday away, you got the Continental on Tuesday and there's a report.
That's it. Yeah, it's a good point.
You see the videos straight away.
Like.
And even if you're living, let's say, in Chicago or New Zealand,
you can follow them, which is great. I mean, if there's any way to stream all their matches, it'd be fantastic. That would be brilliant. I'll be honest with you, given the choice, I'd still go and watch them physically.
Yes.
Because my son and I were going to watch one of them, and I got the ticket, and he said, "Well, I know you, Dad. You prefer watching them live." And it's too firm, like. So sorry, Michael, about that, but I do watch them live.
The selling point for League of Ireland is live football.
It is.
People like to be there, watch the games, talk to their friends.
Yeah. And they do that. You see the same faces up there. There's one guy up there, and every time it is, "Come on, United!"
Yes.
Who is he, or do you know him, this guy?
If
He's a heart of that fan base anyway. So
you
he's,
hear this, the great United chant shout is "Come on, United!"
Right,
And it's
exactly.
often a young, the single voice.
Yeah. Well, this guy now, I'd say, is elderly. Or sorry, obviously we can't say that in this.
Mm.
But he'd be more than 40 or
Oh,
50
yes,
because you
yes.
can tell by the voice. But come on,
You
United!
can hear
And then the younger gang join in as well,
yes,
like you
the
know.
younger, the Maroon Army, great
The
support.
Maroon Army, and they are great support.
They are.
But I've seen you go up there beating the drum and stuff like that.
Yes,
away
yes,
matches.
yes.
I was at an away match with Shamrock Rovers a few years back with a mate of mine, Donald Hegarty.
Yes.
And we were representing Connacht tennis. So I said, come on, we'll go watch Galway United to play Shamrock Rovers. Because my second favourite team would be Shamrock Rovers.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, we lost 4-0.
Going
And
on
it was
to-
getting, you were there with a few guys, and one of them was beating the drum.
Good.
And Donald said to me, Mike, we better get out of here, we'll be killed. So when it was 3-0, we started making our way out. And then the fourth one, Hegarty said to me, run.
Yeah,
So we left at the end then, like, you know. But I'm sure you guys survived as well, which is good.
Great friends. Shamrock Rovers. So we usually good
They
relations.
were at Shelburne then, they were playing in Shelburne's ground.
Talca Park, yes,
Talca Park,
yes,
because
yeah.
Shamrock Rovers didn't have a ground at the time.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
Crazy. At least we have a great ground.
If you look at Galway United, people will say, look, the club has gone through difficult periods, but then clubs like Shamrock
Yeah.
Rovers,
They all go through
they're
different
20
periods.
years
Cork
ago,
City, the same
moving
thing.
on
Yeah.
different grounds.
That's right.
And have re-emerged in the last 10 years.
And that makes a difference to the team. They're running away with the league at the moment, aren't
Yes, very strong team at the
they?
moment.
And they have a team in our league. They're B team.
The reserve team.
Yeah, but I know they can't get qualified,
No,
so that's
no.
good for the rest of us.
I
Play
don't
cups.
agree with that. There that can't get promoted.
Which is pointless.
Pointless. You
Yeah,
know.
and it's like an academy for Shamrock Rovers, isn't
And
it?
they're changing, and it's not Shamrock Rovers' fault, but
No.
the players change every week.
And surely there must be teams that could have been in. Like, why did Limerick not get in the end?
Limerick, I think, well, Limerick were in the league last year. The
Yeah.
financial situation was there in Limerick. And
Didn't they, after going out, nearly come back in again?
They have a team now called Treaty United.
Treaty United,
They're certainly the women's team are coming in as Treaty
So
United.
it's a break off.
Break off. And I understand they have underage. I'm fairly sure they'll be competing
Oh.
underage as well.
So they'll probably be in next season. Will they?
I mean, they haven't missed a whole lot this year, really. to
But
be
surely
honest.
there must be great teams from, say, Kerry and Castlebar and everything that
Yes.
come into that league.
Because Mayo have a team in the
Yeah.
underage league. You think Mayo would be ideal for it?
But they'd be ideal for it, like, you know.
Kerry would
It'd be great for a local derby for us too, of course. Like, and Kerry as well. Don't they have Dynamos
Kerry,
over there?
They
would
have
be there.
Kerry Dynamos. We also have a team now in the National League as well, at underage
At
level.
underage level. So if they're underage, they're well able to play at the
I
same
think
age.
really you have to start at that level,
Yeah,
under 13,
and build up.
17, and build up to the full league. of
Build
Ireland.
up to the full league of Ireland.
You have, if you have players who have played at that level,
Yeah.
they're more used to coming in than the full league of Ireland.
So tell us, Ronan, who would be your favourite players over the last couple of years?
The last couple of years, Vinny Farity, great striker
Yeah,
for Galway, and
absolutely.
as mentioned, Vinny.
Very
is
popular with the
very
fans,
popular
Vinny,
with
yeah.
the fans.
And a real wholehearted player.
Yes,
you know.
yes. Great players, Jay O'Shea.
Jay O'Shea. I thought he was one of the most talented I'd
One of
seen.
the most talented players who's ever played for Galway.
Do you know that Gio made his debut for Birmingham City in front of 80,000 people at
Yes,
Old Trafford?
Old Trafford, I
Because
remember
I
that.
interviewed him, all right.
Yes.
And the first thing he said was, how are Galway United doing? And I
Yes.
thought that was lovely, you know. But he was a class act. He
Great
was very, very
footballer.
good.
He's
Played
over-
under 21 football, didn't he?
He's over
For
in
Ireland.
Australia now. I think
Is he?
Brisbane Roar, I think. He's the captain, I think.
Because he had a good career down the leagues.
Yeah,
And he certainly scored a few goals, you know.
He went over to England, would say he must be. I remember that game with
I
Birmingham.
remember Birmingham,
And
that's
He
right.
didn't really have huge success with Birmingham.
No, he didn't. Or Middlesbrough.
Or Middlesbrough, no.
So he had to go down maybe to the League One for him.
Yes, yeah,
Do you
maybe.
remember the teams he was playing with there? I can't.
Off
For
the
the life
top
of
of my
me.
head, can I remember now? I think he was with MK Dons for
He
a
was.
short
I was
period.
going to guess MK
MK
Dons.
Dons.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure now if we had the likes of Sean Rafferty or Tommy
Yeah.
Keane would tell
Well,
us.
tell us
exactly.
a few more heads of go ahead like yourself. And you mentioned two of them, so you have.
Yes, there's
So
some
take it away.
great supporters in the city and county. The younger supporters, people like Cian Mortimer, a great young
Yeah,
supporter,
that's
lives up
right.
in Trinwood.
Yeah.
We young lads, a great supporter called Marco Gill,
Marco
who's in
Gill.
from the Aran Islands.
Are you serious?
Coleman.
There's loyalty.
So he gets the ferry in, the Aran Islands, he gets a bus or a lift in,
That's
and stays over.
That's loyalty. He should get to every match, you know. And what didn't Kieran Foley come from the Ireland?
Kieran Foley, midfielder. came from
Midfielder,
Ireland,
yeah, that's right.
very
And then of course we had
talented.
another Kieran Foley, a
Newcastle.
great mate of mine from Newcastle.
Beside us here.
He used to play with us. This guy used to play with us when we played football years ago, and he was the youngest, but he was very talented. You know, centre half, very solid, good player. Like, you know, around the same time as Mark Carrick, I'd say, was it?
Around that.
Colin Hawkins. Colin Hawkins never played for Galway, did he?
No, Colin never played for Galway.
That's an awful shame, isn't it?
I think he's involved in coaching in Dublin now.
Because I remember Colin was a very good player. Played against him as well.
Yes,
And of course, Colin went over to Coventry City,
yes,
and he did very, very well.
Yes.
You know, and he played with some of the small leagues, but he came back to the League of Ireland.
Yes.
And was he playing with? Was it Pats?
he was the Shamrock Rovers.
Shamrock Rovers. Pats. He did
I
very.
think there's more. I think it was as you said.
He won a
Pats
league,
was
I think. Yeah,
Pats,
Pats.
More.
Pats seem to have this habit of stealing Galway United players around.
Yeah,
I'd love to put him into it.
they
You
have
know.
to.
Don't tell me Stephen O'Donnell ever played for Pats, did he?
I don't know. I don't
No.
think so. No, he's manager of Pats now.
There you go.
Yes.
I knew there was some
He played
connection.
for Bohs,
Yeah.
He played for Cork.
He did. Did he play for Dundalk? Yeah, that's right.
He's at United 2009.
I remember it well.
Very
Yeah,
good,
and he was a class player. He was at Arsenal, of course, wasn't he?
Arsenal.
Yeah, so it just shows you. Didn't make the break, but they always had lots of midfielders. But still, to even be there in the first place is a great achievement.
It's very difficult for a young player, young Irish player.
It's very hard to break through. Yeah, I remember when Johnny Giles came over to Shamrock Rovers, and his thing was to have an academy and build them up. I remember he'd Dunphy and he'd Ray Tracy and all these greats, Paddy Mulligan helping him out.
Yes.
They only gave him about a year or two, and that was it. You know, that's one big problem. Like looking at the current squad, I would say that Alan Murphy's a very good coach. I think he'll get the best out of them. And I mean, the results this season are 4 draws and 3 defeats.
Yes.
3 defeats are all to teams up at the top of the league. So I wouldn't really lose sleep. And I mean, from the last match, they certainly did enough to draw from that win. Would you agree?
Certainly improving. The last 2 games, we at home against Longford, still got a draw.
And then Clontown.
We were played on against Culver, 2-1 up. And conceded in the last few minutes.
Yeah.
But at the same
it's
time,
an away match, you know.
At the end of the day, I'm like, you know, it's a result.
It is, that's right. They have to be, and I think they will. But this season is very open, isn't it? I mean, back is 5th place gets in the playoffs, isn't that right?
We're still only 5 points off the playoffs.
So, I mean,
sorry,
you know,
4 points.
And it's 7 games into the season, so you can't be panicking.
We're going to play Drogheda now on Monday.
That's right.
We're winning against Drogheda, and
where are Drogheda on the table?
They're ahead. I think they're second or third.
So if we get a win there, that you know, something else. And the next game, then the next home game you said is Bray Wanderers.
They're 2 matches now. Really, you really have to aim to pick up points.
Oh, you do. You have to. And the cup match with Shelburne at the time.
Massive game.
Massive game.
Former United players with Shelburne now. Gary Deegan.
He was good. He went to Coventry. He went to Coventry City as well. Yeah.
And Hibernian. And also Carl Shepherd, former striker.
Oh, he was a great player.
Great striker.
He used to remind me of Kevin Keegan.
Yes, yes.
I thought Shepherd was a great talent. And he went on to Dundalk, didn't he?
Yes.
And Cork.
And Cork.
Yeah,
and over in England for Reading for a while.
Reading, that's right. Yeah.
Those 2 lads now.
Wasn't he at Everton at the start? Everton. I mean, what a place to start.
United, you know, and he would say this himself, the club that really, and he says this publicly, that resurrected his career.
Was Galway United.
Came back from England, head was down.
Head was well down.
You know,
and he was a real confidence player, I felt.
Yes.
You know, just making sure we're doing fine.
So he was outstanding with United in the one season.
He was a great little player.
In fairness, now the manager at the time, Sean Connor, took a lot of criticism.
He took an awful lot, but I think he was a good coach, Sean Connor. He certainly helped Flipper.
Some good
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I'm
I'd say he was a bit of a Brian Clough character, you know.
I won't make any further comments.
I met him a couple of times, all right, you know, so I always got him with him. But I know near the end it was tough because a lot in the club wanted him out. And he stayed on, you know, past his welcome, I suppose.
In 2011, it was a disastrous season for the club.
That's right.
I think we won 1 game.
One game? Oh, my God. Yeah.
He
certainly gave him enough time to get it right, you know. But there was financial problems. I remember that when Nick Leeson used to be there. Remember he was kind of the secretary. And, of course, we had a great secretary on Rooney, Bernie O'Connell. We couldn't go past talking about a Galway legend.
We're talking about the Galway United underage games. I was up yesterday in Drum and met Bernie was there. Passionate United man, and has always had a good talk about football and about United.
And Bernie made a lovely speech there on Friday night about Johnny Glynn.
Yes.
By the way, Johnny Glynn, you have our best wishes, and your daughter and your niece as well too.
He was there for
fantastic.
And thanks to all the football community in Galway.
They really got behind him. That's it, without a doubt.
I hope Johnny maybe in a few weeks back.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because Johnny is integral to Galway United. I mean, the backup team is very good. We mentioned Derek O'Brien, he's involved. Johnny Glynn is involved. Who else?
There's a plenty of
which is great. That's what you want, I think.
Like
Cullen Fortune, that's right.
I was up at the under 17 game, yes. We have people like Gary O'Connor, who plays for the club, Paul Sinnott, and Adrian Cronin.
Is Nigel Keady still involved?
Nigel, under 19 manager.
He'd be good.
We have then people like Martin Devlin, who is doing a great job as under 15 coach. Former player Brendan O'Connor.
That's
under
right.
13 coach.
Wow.
So a large amount of former.
It's great to have the former players.
That's a big improvement because in the past sometimes we might have had people coming into the club.
It isn't the same really.
Maybe just.
I think these guys have a feel for Galway United.
Yes.
And a passion about it.
And you're bringing in maybe someone, especially from someone not from around Galway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Sometimes it can be hard to connect to the club. Let's say we had managers in the past, let's say Tony Cousins, they may be living in Dublin, coming up and down to Galway.
Now, I must say, I interviewed Tony Cousins.
Yes.
And I thought I found him great. I thought he was really enthusiastic, you know. But it's just that, I think at that stage, they were in the Premier Division, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. And they had a bad run, and again, people panicked and he was gone. But he was very keen to bring in young players.
Yes.
And
he did, at the time the club had a large budget.
That's right.
He was doing reasonably well, but they didn't have a huge budget at the time.
Yeah.
We were full-time professional football, maybe 20 players.
People expected more from him.
We were one of the clubs in Ireland at the time. Other clubs, let's say Drogheda, would have won the league.
Yeah, that's right.
Teams like Cork were successful. That's right. Shelburne. We were one of the few clubs in Ireland who invested in a full-time budget at the time and didn't get even top six, even FAI Cup.
So there was a lot of frustration for him.
Yes. I would always say, look, if a manager's working off a low budget, give them a bit of
Exactly, I'd agree there
the
totally.
other way around, like, if a high budget, you're not.
Because if you look at the way Alan Murphy has them playing, they're playing good football.
football,
In
yes,
fairness, it's good
yes,
football. They look good. They need to rub of the green, I think.
Yes.
I think they could do a bit of a Leeds on it, and what they might do is win one match and then snowball it 3, 4, 5.
All it would take would be maybe 1 or 2 wins. Even
Absolutely.
3 wins in
It's
a
very
row in the
open.
first division, Europe. You see yourself in the likes of the Championship in England.
Yeah.
Teams will fall down the table.
And other teams will flourish. Look at Brentford, 8 wins in a row.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and they still didn't get up.
Brentford very unlucky. Lost
They
the
were
playoff
awful
final.
unlucky. Yeah. Well, I know we were that team last year.
Yes.
You know, because Leeds were second for most of it, then dropped to the third, and then lost the playoff to Derby, like, which is unheard of.
As long as you
So you've got to come up and win by 10 points, Ronan. That's the only way to get out of that division.
I think like the playoffs are very high risks.
Yeah, totally
You know,
high risks.
and
Yeah.
You can go and fine, and then there's a penalty.
You know, Leeds have never won a playoff.
Never won a playoff.
Never.
Some
So
go.
there was a lot of us this year praying that, you know, in Bielsa we trust and he
Yes.
did the job. But
Yes.
he should have the job for life at
Yes.
this stage. Because getting them out of that place after 16 years. I mean, Leeds is such a big club still. 16 years out of the Premier Division. You know, it's amazing, isn't it? But if you look at some of the teams, I was looking at the league tables, all 4 divisions.
Yes.
And I think something like 22 teams have come in since I started following football, since 73. Because that's when I started supporting Leeds. You know.
It has been a huge gap for Leeds supporters.
Huge
I know there's plenty around the city would be
Well,
delighted.
there's a lot of Leeds supporters. Jerry McDermott is one of the best
Yes.
known ones. But I mean, I meet a lot of people these days and they support Leeds, so hopefully they'll stay with it.
And you remember, yeah, I think we spoke about it earlier. Do you remember Leeds played Galway United?
I do. 2-0. Beckford got both goals.
2-0, yes.
They had to pull him off it because he was too good.
Yes, yes.
And that was a very good Leeds team.
Yes,
I'd have
yeah.
loved to have been in the PA for that.
Yes,
But I'd have been thrown out for being too biased.
You were-
If I started singing, you know, marching all together, it would have been too much.
The
like, you know.
Galway United supporters wouldn't have taken that too well. Like that.
They might have let me off
You never know.
because
You
it's
never know.
one little thing on my one little dunk, you know.
And that was one of the
But I
highlights.
also thought the Leeds United youth team play Galway.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
this was
right,
years ago.
right, yeah,
Alan
yeah.
Smith.
Alan Smith was
I remember
there, yeah.
spotting him and I said to the guy beside me, he's going to play for England. And he's like, how can you tell? I said, look at his attitude. And he has this arrogance about him. And Paul Robinson, the most arrogant player I've ever seen in a friend, he wouldn't even go in goals to the knock-up. He was out taking shots at some of the poor devil, you know.
Yes.
And then once he went in, that was it. And Alan Maybury was full back.
And
and
Maybury, a
captain.
great player for Leeds. And
Maybury, a
and
great player,
yeah.
who was awful unlucky both at Leeds and Burnt.
oh.
He had the ability. So we know your involvement with Galway United is huge. What do you do these days with them? Give us an example.
Well, this year it's difficult, really. A lot of the traditional activities, one of my roles would always have been things like match promotion.
That's it.
Things like
Putting up posters.
put up signs.
Yeah.
That's all off at the moment.
That's right.
I
That's
would
a
be
big job.
involved in the past in things like fundraising, things like lottery. That's people are that element is gone.
You can't do that, that's right.
Really, you're just promoting the matches, trying to help out in any way you can.
That's good.
Traditional areas where support help out are on hold at the moment.
That's right.
So you can't really, let's say things like table quizzes are out.
Yeah, that's
things
right.
like
Good
lottery
fundraisers.
draws.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking.
And that's a lot of
you know,
income for
a lot
Galway,
of
I think,
income,
isn't it?
a lot of
Yeah.
income. I think it will take clubs a while to bounce back.
Yeah.
I mean, the clubs now are looking at areas like, we'll say, the online broadcasting to bring in some revenue.
Which is a great idea, I think.
Looking at financial support from the FAI, which is coming as well.
And I love the way they set out the online broadcasting. It's a $5 for the ordinary fan.
Yes.
And a tenner if there's somebody watching it. Then if it's in a pub and it goes up. And you are, you know, hoping that people show a bit of integrity when it comes
Yes,
to
of
that. They
course,
won't
of
have it
course.
on in the pub and be just spend €5.
Yes. Look, if you get, let's say, 500 people even from around the country,
No, isn't that incredible?
which you know,
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't feel in the League of Ireland with that sort of money being a good alternative income stream.
Oh, yeah. And it's very high quality.
It's excellent quality. That was one of my main concerns before
Yeah.
the whole process.
Oh, yeah.
was,
Would it be good enough?
are we going to put something on that's like someone broadcasting?
Well, Vinny is
from
a total pro, so you got that covered.
Excellent.
And, you know, you wouldn't get anybody better than Keane to the country.
home?
And he knows everybody. He was talking about guys who died. He was talking about supporters of the other team.
Yes.
The whole thing. Like, and I say, I only saw him the first match because I was lucky enough to watch the other 2 matches live. And I must say there was a bit of atmosphere even with the 53 supporters.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
there was certainly plenty of shouts.
And I was watching the last game at home, and as you said, great commentary by Keane O'Connell.
Oh, super. Yeah.
Referencing sports and
Yeah.
other matches. He spoke about
Well, he's
Northern
like John
Ireland.
Watson, you know, the
Yes,
way he goes
yes,
on there with all
yes.
the details and
He
stuff.
could have a career in broadcasting.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And of course, he did PA as well, too, you know.
Yes,
And the dad.
Yes, and his brother Bernie, United
Bernie.
legend.
Oh, Bernie
And
is a
Cleavon
legend.
as well, of course, the elder brother.
Cleavon, that's right.
was on PA as well.
Where they do the bit of Squelga,
Yes,
you know.
indeed.
It was very funny the last night he was saying Iver though, and then the name in English, and then he got to 5. You know, it's quite good. They have a great tradition. So we know you're huge in Galway United. Do you follow the English game?
I would follow us really, but not as much as they used to when I was younger. Really.
Right, that's when you're hooked in, isn't it?
Like when I was younger, I would have supported Man United. I would have had an interest in Aston Villa.
We won't throw them out. Don't worry for saying
Don't throw me out. I would have supported Aston Villa with, I suppose.
Oh yeah, when Chick was there, yeah, because it came down to Irish players.
That connection. I was very young at the time, but
Yeah.
since then, I suppose you'd have developed a connection. There was the Irish players in the 90s there as
There
well.
was that's Red Staunton, of course.
Oh, I visited a few times. We spoke with Brentford. I was over.
Brentford, yeah. I mean, I have nothing but admiration for Brentford. I mean, they haven't got a tradition of football, but I mean, 8 wins in a row. I mean, they were breathing down Leeds' necks even for a couple of matches.
Like, not to get promoted.
Very unlucky. I think that's the problem, that the third place team doesn't get promoted, and you have the sixth place team who gets there. You know, but Fulham, in fairness, too deserved it because they were up there the whole season, like, you know.
One thing, as you know yourself, it's all about a bit of momentum.
Oh yeah,
the final matches.
They probably just, it was too much to expect them to win 10 matches in a row.
This is the thing which United can look at. You know, hopefully build up momentum over
Well,
the
I think
next
it
2
will
months.
happen because their football is good. It's like in tennis, you know, people say to Nadal, "You're going to win," and Nadal says, "I'm going to do my best to play well, and then I give myself every chance." And I think it's a bit of that goal in it. If they keep doing what they're doing, it'll happen. You know.
Hopefully. But the only thing this season as well, it's a shorter season.
How many matches is it?
We have 18 in total. And we've
very
played
6, so we've 12. So a third of the season gone.
A third of the season gone.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have a very quick turnaround.
That's why I'm saying they need a momentum. They need to get going, which would be
So
great.
hopefully Drogheda on Monday night. Now Drogheda, United Park in Drogheda, a difficult place to go.
Good place to go. Will you be going to that?
No, because I would generally try to go some of the away games.
Yeah, the weekend
Very,
games.
very restricted now though on the away numbers.
Oh, that's true, of course. Yeah, you can get in. Yeah, I noticed that in the stand looking across.
I think the clubs, you're allowed a limited amount of people from the opposition.
Are they?
Very limited.
But it'd be very limited if they came at all.
That's official type, you know.
If we knew they weren't coming, it'd be great. It'd create a few more in the lottery, you know. 'Cause
Yes,
I'm sure
yes,
there's lots of people there hoping they get the call, you know.
Yes. And I think
Many are called and few are chosen.
Many are
So
called fewer chosen. But there has been a good spread across the single place. Well, I think
Yeah.
most supporters now have got into at least one game.
But isn't it great to know that there's that many season ticket holders?
Yes,
You know,
yes.
because that's a great thing because that really supports your local team.
And unfortunately as well then, like, and sadly some of the season ticket holders, maybe older people,
And they
don't
can't
feel
go.
comfortable.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't
right.
go.
And you wouldn't blame them either, like, you know. You wouldn't blame
Hopefully
them.
the conditions will improve very quickly.
How long do you think it'll improve? When do you think the rest of them will be able to come in?
I mean, next, I can't
Next
see the
season.
restrictions improving. That maybe
Not
possibly
because
next
there's 12
season.
matches left,
No.
you know.
You know, I can't see because you're looking at having the G are very keen to have bigger crowds in.
They are.
In the last few days, there's more cases.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to watch too. But did you look at, I hate to mention Leeds so often, but did you ever see the matches they've played in the last few weeks? They've all these cardboard cutouts. Now some chancer put Bin Laden in the middle.
Oh, yes.
Had them taken out, like, you know.
I still think, look,
But you know, funny enough, watching the matches, it gave it a bit of an atmosphere because they had a bit of music on in the background.
I prefer to have the game as it is.
As it is,
You
yeah.
know, just show them.
It's so quiet though.
It is quiet, but I mean, the fake noises are
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, but you kind of forget. I forget that there's no fans in here. The fake noises.
When you hear this pipe noise, it's just very fake to me. You know, I prefer to hear the old shout of "Come on, United!"
Maybe they're afraid of what people would say.
Yes.
Especially the English commentary, like, you know, because they always apologise for Andy Murray in tennis.
Yes.
So can you imagine what some of the guys in football would be saying?
You can hear some commentary, some of the players are shouting at the league line, but that's,
Some of it is encouragement, and some of it is the other side.
but that's what you expect to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a goal, you expect someone to.
And as you were saying, Galway United wouldn't be used to huge crowds. You know,
No,
but
no.
what were they drawing last season? What kind of figures?
Great crowd at the start of the season. We did a
Always.
same that I
Always.
Bernie
Yeah.
O'Connell.
Farmers.
Over
Yeah.
2,000 punters came in there.
Well,
I think
and
we
what
finished-
stops them coming around? What stops the 2,000 punters? Is it success?
Success is the key thing anyway.
Yeah.
If you go to a game, United play the first match against Shelburne,
Yeah.
2-0 up. I thought this is great. Everyone's going to come back next week.
Except,
Last 3-2.
yeah, that's right. And I remember I was late for that game, and they were already 1 up. And as I was walking in, they got the second one. I said,
Yes.
"What a start to the season!" You
And I
know.
just thought, even when he came back to 2-0, I thought, right, lads,
We'll
hold
take a draw.
hold
We'll
it
take a
2-0.
draw. Yeah, yeah.
As well as that in Galway, and you know yourself, in any normal summer, there'll be so many events on.
And you've got
festival, the
Chronic
races.
rugby, of course, must be a total draw on it, you know,
Exactly,
because
so.
they've got so professional. Like,
They're going
well,
well.
so much money's been put into rugby. It's the same money went into football.
And this is where the FAI, I don't be too critical of the FAI now because there are changes in the
There are
organisation.
changes in it, and Niall Quinn is involved, which is great.
In the past, really, the organisation didn't really care about the League of Ireland. No investment in the game in Ireland, really, and actually took money out of the game for their own
Oh, easily,
personal-
easily.
Yeah,
Will the
personal
League of
investments.
Ireland, will they give money to the clubs to help them over this COVID?
There is a package to the clubs.
Right.
So the money that's coming through the streaming from this Watch LOI,
Yeah, right.
this is going to kind of filter down to the clubs.
Oh, that's good,
Now, and I'd say the FAI obviously will have to back that up themselves as well.
because they need that just for day-to-day running costs, you
I
know.
think organisations like UEFA and FIFA are supporting.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Which is
these
something.
organisations
And Delaney is gone now. So, do you remember the tennis ball protest?
Yes, yes, the tennis ball.
We were just we protested, and I think 6,000 people watched it.
Yes.
And the fact was Delaney got the boot afterwards.
Yes.
So in our own way, Ollie Turner and Alan and myself, we're going to take a bit of responsibility for that, getting them out.
There was a game last year. Limerick played us. Well, we played Limerick at Eamon DC Park, and the Limerick fans threw
the tennis balls, which is great. Great to unite tennis and football.
Into the FBI.
Oh yeah, it was
really a drama for the
and taking money for their
own personal use.
Yeah,
in a game where
built up their image for their own personal use.
And
we're talking about Galway United, we have to mention Noel Connolly and the pitch. It is still the best pitch anywhere I've seen.
The surface.
It's immaculate.
Noel and the team up there do great work.
They're fantastic.
And that's when I was looking at it on Friday. You were there, and I was watching on television. Great surface.
Yeah.
Has had good rest over the last few months.
It has, because that was one of the problems Noel had before. Was there's so many activities on so many matches. Yes. But I must say he's excellent. He must be the best groundsman in the League of Ireland for years.
Has several times won the ground of the year there.
That's it, and well deserved.
You say yourself.
It's very sand based. I played on it. We had this kind of a five-a-side during one of the matches during the elections. I think it was 2014. And Neil Brullicon captained one team and I captained the other one. Obviously, we won 2-1.
Yes.
I think myself and Ollie Crowe scored on my team. And I forget some other guys scored on the other team penalty. But it was good fun. But at half time, we were running. My lungs were nearly blasted. I'm fit because I played a lot of tennis.
Yes.
But running on that sand-based pitch really took it out of you. So you have to admire the fitness of these players.
It's a fairly, by League of Ireland standards, it's a pretty large size pitch.
Oh, it is, yeah.
The smaller pitches in the
That's right.
Some of the grounds like Coleman
would be very low. I don't think that's going to affect us anymore.
Years ago, anyway.
Oh yeah, it's tough. I remember going to Galway United on wet Sundays when there was no stand.
Yes.
That shows you how far back it was. I remember.
Yes.
So what a joy it is to sit in a stand, away from the rain.
Yes.
We'd be out there, myself and a mate of mine, Barry Donovan, and we were drowned. It always seemed to rain.
Yes.
It was good, and unfortunately, they always seemed to lose when we went.
I remember going back into Galway City after matches years ago, and you'd be drenched wet.
Yeah.
I remember sitting fire and drying out.
Yeah, to dry out. Exactly.
And the facilities were very basic. People went home drenched wet.
Oh, they did. Well, I'll tell you a lovely story from Friday night. I came out after the match, and I was coming up the steps, and there was a father and a son, and he said to me, "How did it end?" And I said 1-0. And he said, "You know something? My son is overly excited here. He saw his first ever League of Ireland match. They let them in for 10 or 15 minutes to watch it, and he was buzzing. And it'd been the high point of their visit here in Galway. So I said, the next time come in and watch the whole match, But I thought it was super, And there is a big respect for Galway United, around the town. What we need them to do is go up and support the team. Now, I know they can't at the moment, but as soon as that embargo is lifted, let's get all of Galway out to watch them,
As you said, there is huge goodwill to the club.
There is, yeah.
It's not like if I'm talking about Galway United to the public, you won't get much negativity. People
Not at all.
How do you get on? Who
That's
play
right.
next week? I hope you win. I hope things go well.
That's right.
But sometimes just to get people up to the ground itself is a bit of a gap there.
And I say they go for Connacht Rugby, so there's no reason they shouldn't go for soccer.
Look, we're hopefully realistically, we're probably talking about next season at this stage.
Oh, yeah.
Originally, we were supposed to have 500 people at the games, which would have helped a lot.
That's been brilliant.
It would have helped most of the season ticket holders.
But we all would have.
Yes,
I think all the season ticket holders would have got in for that anyway.
Yes.
How many season ticket holders are there?
I don't know exactly, but there'll certainly be less than 500.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine there would be anything like that.
Probably maybe 300-400 range.
Would there be? But think about it, that's very good. 300 or 400 season ticket holders, and the matches were drawn in. Well, you said 2,000 for the first one, but would you agree they went down to about 900?
The average is around 700, so being around that,
yes. Even lower. Yeah.
Traditionally, United would always have a great crowd at the first game.
Yeah, and it depends on the first game, doesn't it? And you said that was bring back the Dyke.
Yes.
Was Michael D there and all?
The president was there, well run by Bernie O'Connell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael D was there. We had a great music atmosphere.
That's right, it was fantastic.
Great, and the weather was good.
What we should have had was the stunning on the pitch, obviously. Playing Brunicle Storm. Maybe the next time now do that.
Do you
remember when Michael D used to come as a supporter?
Yes, of course.
And he had some great things.
Yes.
He wasn't afraid to abuse the referee,
No. And never, even when he was a minister there, he would just come in as Michael D.
Just come in, and watch them and stuff which is what you want.
And you mentioned the stunning. We have a stunning connection there that Don Higgins, our midfielder, his father played with the stunning Jimmy Higgins.
That's right.
And you know his granddad as well.
His granddad's on the radio. And I had the honour of coaching him in tennis, Donald.
Very good.
He won his first title with me, under 10 in the Parks. And I never saw a more determined player. I used to call him the Terminator. Because he won big scores. Good player, but obviously he decided to have more success in football.
I think he will do very well. He's still a young player, but playing very well.
I might have said, Don, you're welcome back to tennis anytime.
Don,
But it's great to vote on sports, man.
Football dome.
I think you will.
Yes,
I think
yes.
you will. You know. So Ronan, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thanks to have you.
And
Thanks for having us here. And you're all,
pleasure.
and we're not forgetting you. Did a great, have always helped out the club,
Well, thank
both
you.
as a public address and your articles in the program and your research.
I
And
look forward to writing a few more articles this season. So thanks again, Ronan.
Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you very much.